As you all may know by now, the Miss South Africa organization recently announced Lalela Mswane, who was crowned Miss South Africa 2021 and who was also Miss Universe 2021 second runner-up, as South Africa's representative for Miss Supranational 2022. Now, the Miss South Africa organization has held the license for the Miss Supranational pageant since 2020, and their very first and so far only representative at Miss Supranational was, of course, the beautiful Tatu Musekle, who eventually placed as second runner-up at Miss Supranational 2021. Tatu, of course, was also the Miss South Africa 2020 first runner-up. Initially, I was very excited. I felt that being the crowned Miss South Africa, that she did deserve this. But also the fact that Miss Universe was held in Israel really dampened and cast a shadow on her competing there, and a lot of the fans had to choose between their duty to support her and their own morality. And it's for this reason that I'm glad that Lalela is being given the opportunity to represent South Africa again internationally, and hopefully with more support this time. But devoted Miss South Africa fans were quick to point out the fact that the Miss South Africa organization allowed women to compete last year under the impression that if they managed to reach top 3, that they would be given the opportunity to represent South Africa internationally. And according to a screenshot between Dr. Moratwe Masima, who was the Miss South Africa 2021 runner-up alongside Zimi Tunzi, and an undisclosed party, apparently the Miss South Africa 2021 runner-ups who were supposed to form part of the trio were just outright told that they would not be given this opportunity to represent South Africa internationally anymore. And no, Zimi and Moratwe will not be representing South Africa internationally at all. I know there is some confusion about this. A lot of people seem to think that Zimi and Moratwe will be going to Miss Universe 2022 or Miss World 2023, etc., etc. But no, they will not be representing South Africa internationally at all. Miss Universe 2022, which will be held in December, as well as Miss World 2022 and Miss Supranational 2023 will all be taken up by the future set of Miss South Africa winner and runners-up bunch. And according to The Citizen, the Miss South Africa organization have stated that the continuous rescheduling of Miss World as well as the pandemic as a whole has made it very difficult to keep up with the timeline of international pageant, matching that up with the current reigning Miss South Africa. Basically, Miss World 2022 will only be held in early 2023, I believe, and by then there will already be a new Miss South Africa. And from what I understand, the Miss South Africa organization were dead set on keeping up with this timeline and sending all new candidates to Miss World 2022, which will be held in early 2023, as well as Miss Supranational 2023 and Miss Universe 2022, which will be held in December this year, presumably. They could have sent either Zimi or Moratwe to Miss Supranational, which will be happening in July this year, but according to a source, the Miss South Africa organization thought it would be unfair to send one runner-up overseas while the other runner-up had nowhere to go. And it's for this very reason that I would have very much liked to know who was the official first runner-up and second runner-up. I think it would have been more justifiable for them to send the first runner-up rather than the second runner-up, but unfortunately this information is not public. And I also believe that this wouldn't have been as much of an issue if they didn't insist on this idea of the trio. I mean, they shouldn't have made promises that they could not keep. And this isn't the first time that the Miss South Africa organization have started something that they weren't able to keep going with. Does anybody else remember in 2018 when it was so ceremoniously announced on stage that the Miss South Africa organization would crown a Miss World South Africa and a Miss Universe South Africa, and out of these two they would choose the new Miss South Africa? And of course it did happen this way for that year only, and in 2019 they were back to crowning a Miss South Africa and having a runner-up who would fill in and compete internationally if necessary, but the two were in no way presented as equals. So, for example, if it was possible for Zozibini to represent South Africa at both Miss Universe and Miss World, and indeed if she did do that, nobody would be like, oh, poor Sasha Lee, she was supposed to go to World. No, because they weren't presented as equals to begin with, and the fact that Zozi won Miss Universe and the fact that Miss Universe coincided with Miss World meant that South Africa needed someone to represent them at Miss World, and Sasha Lee, as the first runner-up, had the opportunity to do that. But in 2020, the Miss South Africa organization did indirectly imply that the crowned Miss South Africa and her runners-up were equals by insisting on this idea of the triplets. Listen, I am thoroughly convinced that Natasha did indeed deserve to place at Miss Universe, which of course we all know she didn't, but I do also think it would have been smarter for the Miss South Africa organization to send her to Miss Supranational instead. But to me, the saddest thing about the triplets and the 2020 situation is that Shirafatsu, who was the crowned Miss South Africa, could have realistically represented South Africa at all three international pageants to which South Africa holds the license. I mean, Miss Universe 2020 was held in, I believe, May 2021. Miss Supranational was held in August, and of course Miss World hasn't even happened yet, and that's what Shirafatsu is waiting for. She's been waiting so long when realistically she could have competed at two international pageants already and might have even won one. And a lot of people insist that the only reason the Miss South Africa organization made up this triplet thing was so that Natasha could be incorporated. I mean, the fact that she was sent to Miss Universe while she was the Miss South Africa second runner-up is still a mystery to many. According to many people, she should have gone to Miss Supranational because, it clearly is the lowest ranked of the pageants that the Miss South Africa organization holds the license for. But I mean, the Miss South Africa organization probably had no way of knowing that the pageant timeline would be so messed up by the pandemic in 2020. I mean, in 2019, all of the international pageants were basically held in December. But what did kind of annoy me about this Miss South Africa statement is that they allegedly said that it's not unusual for a crowned Miss South Africa to represent South Africa at more than one international pageant. And yes, for a long time, the crowned Miss South Africa represented South Africa at both Miss Universe and Miss World because the timeline between the two pageants allowed for this. But this hasn't happened since 2013. There is an entire generation of Miss South Africa fans who don't know this history. And also, the Miss South Africa organization allowed these women last year to compete under the impression that if they reached top 3, that they would go international. They allowed these contestants to believe this, and they let the public believe and expect this. And now they want to patronize and gaslight the public into questioning the fact that they presented these women as equals, the trio, all with an equal right to represent South Africa internationally. And I feel for Zimi and Moratwe the most. I think everybody does, the entire public does. But the Miss South Africa organization haven't even recognized or acknowledged that what they did to these two women was kind of shitty. They let them serve the organization for months before telling them that this dream that they were looking forward to when they entered Miss South Africa would no longer be realized. The Miss South Africa organization has been the golden child of pageantry since 2017, but man, they are so shitty at acknowledging the concerns of the public that they claim to represent. And it's true that Zimi and Moratwe will probably have the opportunity to compete at Miss South Africa again and enter Miss South Africa again, but will they? I don't think Moratwe will, because I think her views on the Miss South Africa organization and her annoyance at the Miss South Africa organization has been made perfectly clear by the fact that she unfollowed them for a little while and then removed the runner-up from her bio and then this DM. But I think Zimi might enter again, because she has been, and this is what I love about Zimi, she has been very discreet. Like, she has not said a word, she has not done a thing. That's why I love Zimi. She's just such a regal woman. I hope she enters again. I just hope that she wasn't burned too much by this. I really want to see Zimi at Miss World. I really, really do. So I do hope that she enters again. But yes, guys, the Miss South Africa organization need to invest in a good PR team, because they just missed the mark with some of the statements that they made. Even with regards to Lalela's situation last year, they just add fuel to the fire by completely ignoring what the public is trying to say. We don't have a problem, or people don't have a problem with Lalela representing South Africa at Miss Supranational. We don't, but we're concerned about, what is the implication now for these other two women who just had their dreams shattered. What about them? Are you going to acknowledge them? Are we going to, have any sort of discussion about how this might have affected their mental health? Again, this is what the public is concerned about. I mean, we're glad that Lalela is going and having the opportunity. I mean, I'm very glad that Lalela is going to have the opportunity to represent South Africa again, but the Miss South Africa organization really shouldn't have made promises that they couldn't keep. Like, pick one format, pick one way of doing things, and stick with that. Don't be changing it up every 2 years and then breaking hearts in the process. Let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear all of your opinions. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!